Hi gang, welcome back to the channel. It is Kay, your astrologer, numerologist and spiritual teacher, you could say, and spiritual medium from the Spiritual Parlour. Today we are back with a video on birth chart basics, and this is because as a professional astrologer I get asked so many questions about birth charts, obviously, and whenever I do any kind of spiritual work with anyone or give anybody any kind of tarot reading or advice or help them with rituals or so forth, I do rely a lot on astrology, and that is because it is so powerful to help you with manifestation and timing and so forth. But I thought, you know what, it's good to put this information out there and help other people understand how they can understand their own chart without relying necessarily on someone like me who is a professional. So the first thing you're going to need is your birth chart. So if you click on the first link below, you will get this page pop up on my website here, the Spiritual Parlour, where you can grab yourself a free birth chart download. Now everything is time stamped as well if you look in the description box, so you can skip ahead, you can watch the video from start to finish, which I recommend you do, but if there's a certain area you want to look at, it's time stamped below. So for today's example, I'm going to use Rhianna. We're going to use Rhianna's chart to look at the basics and understand the basics, because I'm a big fan and she's just turned into a billionaire, which I'm so happy about. And when I was looking at Rhianna's chart, it kind of indicates that she would always be successful anyway. But her chart is really, really cool to look at as an example. So let's use that. But if you've got your own, grab your own and follow along. So Rhianna is born on the 20th of February 1988 at 8:50 a.m. in Barbados in a place called St. Michael, which comes under Bridgetown. So we put that information in and we click apply. So those are the key things you need to pull your birth chart: your date of birth, your location of birth, and your time of birth. Now what to do if you don't have your time of birth, I would recommend that you try and narrow it down to the nearest 2 hours. That is because we have movement in the sky roughly every 2 hours. Or you pull a midday chart. Now be mindful, if you pull a midday chart, your ascendant probably will not be that accurate, and I will discuss this in another video. Let's just focus on understanding the chart first. So we pull up the chart. Here's Rhianna's chart. The first thing we're probably going to notice is that there's a lot of signs around the side, and there's a lot of degrees and a lot of like little symbols, and what do these all mean? So let's break it down. The first thing to talk about or to understand are the signs. Yeah, so there's one there, and all these other signs that we've got on the edge here, these are all signs, and they go all the way around to the 12th house. Signs will tell you what energy is present in that part of a person's life, in that house, what sign rules that part of their life, so how they might experience that part of life. Signs will be between 0 to 30 degrees. And the signs all have symbols, as you can see. So the first one on Rhianna's house, on her chart, sorry, is Aries. Then we move down to house 2, we've got Taurus. Then we move down, we've got Gemini, Cancer, and it goes all the way around to 12. So what do we mean by 0 to 30 degrees? Well, this relates to, if we go back to her chart here, oops, it relates to this area here, the 30-degree section, okay? The actual house, you could say, section. Yeah, that's going to be between 0 to 30 degrees, because each sign will occupy a 30-degree segment in the sky and a 30-degree segment in a chart, and that is the sign here. So her first house has Aries, so her ascendant is Aries, and that will be from 0 to 30 degrees all the way around to the second house, which is then obviously Taurus, because it goes in the order of the zodiac. From whatever sign is here on the first house, it will go in order all the way around. So this is what the signs represent. The signs will show you how that energy vibrates for that person and where. So her ascendant is Aries, as we said. So her first house is about her, who she is deep down, how she shows up in the world. Yeah, and you could say that's pretty true for Rhianna, because Aries is a fire sign. It certainly does show up. It goes after what it wants. It's quite forceful. It's quite an alpha sign, and Rhianna is kind of like that. Yeah, so the ascendant sign on the first house is where the sun rose from before it landed in your actual sun sign or star sign. So let's break that down so that we can understand that a bit more, okay? If we rub these off. So Rhianna, her sun is up here, okay? It's at 1 degree into the sign of Pisces. We all know that Rhianna is a Pisces, but her ascendant is Aries. So the sun, when she was born, rose from this point and then landed here at 1 degree into Pisces at the moment she took her first breath and she was born. So her ascendant, where she comes from, is an Aries, and the ascendant is who we are deep down. So that is the importance of the first house, and that is the importance of the signs, okay? Now, the second thing we need to understand in the chart is, after we understand what the signs are, is the house cusps. So these are these blue lines here, and if you look at your birth chart, you will see the lines that separate the houses. Now, house cusps are important because they show us where a house starts, under what sign and at what degree. So her first house starts at 15 degrees Aries, and it finishes when it moves into the second house, which is Taurus, and hers is at 17 degrees Taurus. Yeah, so house cusp will show you where a sign starts, where it ends. The other thing that is key about house cusps are how the planets interact with them. So if someone has, or if you have, and I know I certainly do in my chart, have a planet that is very, very close to a cusp, so that point in the chart, it could indicate that that planet's energy will be very strong in that area of life. So if we look at Rhianna's chart, we can see that she has got her Venus here, which is 12 degrees into Aries, and it is her house cusp for her first house is at 15. So there is only a few degrees there. It's very, very close. And a reasonable orb, we call it, which is an amount of space that that can be allowed for it to be considered closed, is between up to 8 degrees. So her house cusp at 15 and her Venus at 12, there is a 3-degree orb there, yeah? But you can give up to 8 when you start. Most professional astrologers would reduce that down to about 5, between anything up to 5 maximum. I certainly do, because it's more accurate. Yeah, it's more accurate. But, well, let me not confuse you. Not more accurate to say that an 8-degree orb is inaccurate, but it's more precise because it's closer. Yeah, if a planet has an 8-degree orb or a 3-degree orb from a house cusp, the planet that has the 3-degree orb is probably going to have more of an impact because it's closer than a planet that has the 8-degree orb. But the 8-degree orb is certainly still acceptable. But as you progress on your journey, as you become more experienced in astrology, and as you do more predictions and work with more people's charts, you may notice that the closer you are in orb, the more accurate or precise you might get with your readings. But 8 is certainly fine. So I'm not trying to say that 8 is inaccurate and 3 is more accurate. It's more precise is probably the word I'm looking for. So in Rhianna's chart, she has a 3-degree orb. So her Venus is very, very close to her first house. Now, Venus is a planet of love, beauty, money, attraction, what we want, the arts. And if we look at Rhianna's career, beauty and the arts has been very, very dear and close to her. It served her a lot. If you even just take the example of Fenty, her makeup line, that is makeup. Yeah, and what has it done for her? It has made her first house, who she is, how she shows up in the world, into a billionaire. Yeah, so her love for makeup, beauty, fashion and so forth has served her in her life. So this is why house cusps are important, because we can see if, I'm sorry if you can hear any background noise there, it's important to see if we've got any planets that are close to the cusp, okay? Now the next point in understanding a chart, when we look at it, are the angles, okay? Now angles are key. The angles refer to key points in a chart. So if we look at a birth chart as a whole, we've got Rhianna's here. The points will give us information about that person and their life. So angle 1, the ascendant, who we are, where we ascend from, how we show up in the world. Yeah, hers is Aries. Next point, opposite that, we have the descendant. So if the ascendant, point 1 here, is about us, point 2, the descendant, is about other people. So this is the line that is the cusp of what house? The 7th house. What is the 7th house? The 7th house is the house of marriage, serious commitments, serious relationships, legal matters. So this descendant can represent or can show us who a person may marry or who they may find attractive. And we can look at the sign for Rhianna. She's got Libra up there. And if we then look at the ruling planet of Libra, which is what? Venus, which is over here, we can look at the person's ruling planet of the descendant to see who they might attract, who might be attracted to them, who they might marry, and so forth. But that is getting very, very deep into astrology and very, very advanced. We keep it very, very simple and basic. And let's just look at the descendant itself and what it represents. It's a key point, just like the descendant. So just like the ascendant, sorry. So the ascendant, point 1 on the left hand side, is who we are, where we originate from, how we show up in the world. The descendant on the right hand side is who we might find attractive. Okay. Now the next key point is our direction. The 10th house, it is the cusp of the 10th house. Now this angle is sometimes referred to as the MC, but it's also called the midhaven, and it's because it's the highest point in the chart. Yeah, it's the highest point, and this is where we're going to aim to, where we're going to aspire to. This is our direction in life. And for Rhianna, hers is under the rule of Capricorn, which Capricorn is an energy of ambition. It is an energy of ambition, direction, where we're going, working very, very hard, a very, very serious sign, and it's all about recognition. It's linked to the 10th house, which is the house of fame, you could say. So it's not unusual, or that's probably not a surprise to see that Rhianna's 10th house and her direction and her MC is ruled by a sign like Capricorn. Now the 4th angle is down here, the IC, which is the cusp of the 4th house. So if the 10th house is where we're ascending to and where we're going in our direction, our 4th house is where we've come from, our foundation. The IC is like our home, our family, how we were brought up, and that's to do with the 4th house, which is here. So they are the 4 key points of a chart when we're talking about angles. Okay, we have the 1st house cusp, the ascendant, the 7th house cusp, the descendant, the 10th house cusp, our midhaven or our direction or our MC, and the 4th house cusp, which we know as our IC, which is where we've come from, our foundation. Okay, now we've got the key points and we understand the signs and we understand the degrees. We then have the planets. So for example, you can see all the planet signs in Rhianna's charts, and the planets will be in a chart, they will be under a sign and they will be at a degree. So let's break that down. So each planet will have its own energy, and for the sake of this video, to keep it short and sweet, I'm not going to go through each planet's energy. I might do a separate video on that, or if you look down below in the description blocks, it might already be there. But let's just pick a planet for example. Okay, so let's look at Jupiter. So Rhianna's Jupiter is in her 1st house. Jupiter is a planet of luck, expansion, fortune, distance travel, and spirituality. And it also is the planet that shows us in life where we need to have the most faith that everything will work out. So for Rhianna, her Jupiter in her 1st house shows that she might have luck and fortune herself. Yeah, she might bring herself luck. And she needs to have faith in herself, okay? And with her Jupiter in her 1st house. Now the sign it's under, if we look back at her planet, is Aries, okay? And it's at 26 degrees Aries. So the sign of the planet that the planet is under the influence of can show you how that energy of that planet might be expressed. So Aries is that very aggressive sign. It's moving forward. This is what I want. Let's go. It's very, very determined. So her luck, her fortune, her expansion might show up with determination, might show up with being very dominant, might show up with being very, very forceful. She has to believe in herself a lot, keep self-motivated, I'm being pushed to say, with a Jupiter under Aries. So the sign will show you or tell you how it will influence that planet's energy. And the degree that it's at, when we talk about degrees and planet degrees, this can show you how advanced a planet's energy is. For example, if you have a planet in your chart that is at 0 degrees, Rhianna doesn't have anything at 0 degrees. No, she doesn't. Does she? Let's look through. Oh, okay. So we've got, what's up here? So she's got, oop, let's just double check this. She has, surprisingly. Let's have a little look and see. Let's just make sure I've got this right here. Yep, that's cool. She has. Okay. So this is wonderful because I can use her as an example. I don't have to use myself. Okay, so Rhianna has got her she's got her Saturn, okay, under 0 degrees into the sign of Capricorn. She's also got, what's that there next to it, Uranus at 0 degrees into the sign of Capricorn. So the planet has just entered the sign. So this planet's energy will be something that she needs to, will be expressed over her life incarnation. So it's not something that's gonna happen straight away. It's an energy that needs to resonate. So her Saturn is about you could say it's about how we learn our lessons, how we are disciplined, how we are mature in life. So she has come into this life with that energy being something that she needs to work on. And it can also indicate an area of life where you can start a new chapter for yourself. So her Saturn being under Capricorn, which is on the cusp of her 10th house, could say that her going after her own direction could open a new chapter for her in life. And it kind of has done, because she's a pop star. If I think of myself, I have my Mercury under at 0 degrees. Yeah, my Mercury's at 0 degrees. And I love, Mercury is the planet of communication. Mercury is the planet of you could say travel, short distance travel, but certainly communication, thinking, learning. And I'm also a writer. My Mercury is under Aquarius, and Aquarius is that mental energy. I enjoy writing, and it has been something in my life that has allowed me to open a new chapter, you know, writing for the Spiritual Parlour website, writing books on astrology, writing books on spirituality. It has allowed me to open a new chapter, but it's not something that came to me instantly. It came to me later in life. And at the time of writing this, or at the time of recording this, I should say I'm in my late 30s. So it didn't come to me until like my late 20s, early 30s, how much I actually enjoyed writing. So that's what I mean. When a planet is at 0 degrees, it's a chance to make a fresh start. And it's a chance to, something that you need to develop over a lifetime. It might not necessarily come to you when you're very, very young. It might be later in life. Now, planets that are at late degrees, these are things that we've not mastered. I don't want to say the word mastered, because whenever we come into an incarnation, we've never really mastered anything. We're here to still learn something. But a planet that's in later degrees can indicate that this is something that you're used to, something that you're familiar with. So if we look at Rhianna's chart, let's see if we've got anything in late degrees that we can use as an example, something in very, very, very late degrees. What can we use an example? Okay, so her Mars is in late degrees of Sag. Yeah, so it's at 28 degrees of Sag. So it's very, very late degrees, because it can only go up to 30. So her motivation, Mars is about motivation. Yeah, her being very, very motivated is something that she's probably used to doing, or a skill that she's probably got a lot of, which you could say she has, because she's built up Fenty, she's built up her music career, she's built up Savage as well as it Savage X, the lingerie line. So she had to have been very, very motivated to achieve this. Now it's under the energy of Sagittarius. Now Sagittarius is an energy of having adventures, being liking freedom a lot, and being very, very free spirited. It's an energy of things that are foreign, new to us, distant as well. Rhianna is not American. She's not American. She's born in the Caribbean. So her motivation to maybe up and leave, you know, where she was born and go elsewhere and be self-motivated in a foreign place has landed her in a position where she's now a billionaire I should say. So that's an example. And for me, I've got my sun that's under really, really late degrees of not really late degrees but quite late degrees of Aquarius, and Aquarius is that energy of intellect, and I'm quite smart even if I say so myself. So it, you know, using my brain or being able to think things through or going through data and facts is something that I'm quite good at, and that is because, you know, it's familiar to me. Yeah, and you can see it in my birth chart where my sun is in late degrees of Aquarius, which is the energy that does like facts, figures, data analysis and that kind of thing. So that's how degrees can work with planets as an example, but it's a very, very basic example, okay? But that's how it can work. That's how energy can resonate in a chart. So I think I'm going to leave it here, guys. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet, and hopefully that has given you some insight into how you can understand key aspects or key areas of your chart. There is, oh, one more thing I would probably give you is information on intercepted houses. Now, in a chart, an intercepted house is when you have a sign that rules over two houses. Now, Rhianna doesn't have this in her chart, but I certainly have this in mine. So I've got Pisces that rules two areas of my chart. So that means that it has that sign has taken up quite a large space, yeah? Or you can have a sign, two signs in one house as well. That's another example of an intercepted house. Now on Rhianna's chart, she has she got this in her chart? Has she got intercepted houses? She actually does not. She doesn't. But if she had, for example, say Aries here, yeah, on her first house, and then Taurus, say, let's say Taurus started you know, further in the house up here, so she had two signs, that would be an example of an intercepted house. And I will do a separate video on why that happens and what that means. But if you notice that on your chart that you've got two signs in one house rather than one, it's an intercepted house. If you notice that you have a sign cover two parts of your chart, let's just check. Rhianna does not have that. She doesn't have any interception in that way. No, she doesn't. So in my own chart, I've got Pisces that rules two areas, two houses in my chart. That is an example of an intercepted house, okay? And that is down to difference with how the earth was when you was born, you could say, to put it very, very simply, how the earth was positioned, yeah? To keep it very, very simple. But the main point I'm trying to make is that is an example of intercepted houses. And if you check down below, and link should be there, I will do a video on intercepted houses in a bit more detail. So until next time, guys, please like, share, subscribe, drop me a comment. Was this helpful? Did you find out what you needed to know about your chart? Do I need to clarify anything? I'm sorry if you can hear any background noise here. Does anything not make sense, or does it make sense? Do you know what your ascendant is? Do you know what your descendant is? Do you know what your midhaven is, what your IC is? Do you understand how you could say a planet is influenced by a sign? Drop me a comment, let me know. Like, share, subscribe as well, and I will see you in the next video.